There's a scary reality about success that nobody talks about. You start something new, you feel excited, you work hard, you put in the hours. And then one day you look around and realize you are stuck. You are not moving forward, you are not moving backward, you are just there, floating in the middle. And the worst part is, you do not know if you should keep going or walk away. Here is the thing. The people at the very top, the 0.01%, they know something you do not. They understand a secret that separates them from the 99.9% who never make it. And this secret has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with luck. It has nothing to do with connections or money or being born into the right family. The secret is about quitting, but not the kind of quitting you think. In his book, The Dip, Seth Godin reveals a concept that changed the way I understand success. He explains why some people become the best in the world at what they do, while most people remain average forever. After reading this book, I realized that everything I believed about persistence and hard work was incomplete. In this essay, I will break down the entire concept and show you exactly how the top 0.01% think differently than everyone else. Part 1. The hidden structure of every journey. Let me explain something first. Every single thing you try to accomplish in life follows the same invisible pattern. It does not matter if you are learning guitar, it does not matter if you are building a business, it does not matter if you are trying to get in shape or master a new skill. The pattern is always the same. You start and things feel easy. This is the beginner phase. You are excited, you are motivated, you see progress quickly. Going from 0 to 1 feels amazing. Going from terrible to slightly less terrible feels like a victory. You think to yourself, this is great, and I am going to be successful at this. And something happens. The easy progress stops. The excitement fades. You hit a wall. And this wall does not go away after a few days. It stays there for weeks, for months, sometimes for years. This is what Seth Godin calls the dip. The dip is not a minor inconvenience. The dip is a long, painful slog between starting and mastery. It is the hard part. It is the part where most people give up. And here is the critical thing you need to understand. The dip exists on purpose. It is not a bug in the system. It is a feature. Imagine you are hiking up a mountain. The first part of the trail is beautiful. The path is clear. The incline is gentle. You are enjoying the scenery and taking photos. Then the trail changes, the path becomes rocky, the incline becomes steep, the air gets thinner, your legs start to burn. This is the dip. Most hikers turn around at this point. They tell themselves the view from here is good enough. They convince themselves that reaching the top is not that important anyway. But the people who push through the dip, they get to see something that 99% of hikers never see. They get to stand at the summit. Part 2, why the dip exists. Here is where it gets interesting. The dip is not random. The dip is a filtering mechanism. It exists to separate the people who are serious from the people who are just curious. Think about it this way. If becoming a doctor was easy, everyone would be a doctor. If building $1 million business was simple, everyone would be a millionaire. If becoming a professional athlete required no sacrifice, stadiums would be empty because there would be no one special to watch. The dip creates scarcity. Scarcity creates value. When you are struggling through the dip, you are not just suffering. You are building a moat around your future success. Every person who quits before you makes your eventual success more valuable. Every competitor who gives up opens up more space for you at the top. Seth Godin puts it this way. Being the best in the world is seriously undervalued. People do not just want good. People want the best. When you need a surgeon, you do not want someone who is pretty good at surgery. You want the best surgeon you can find. When you need a lawyer for an important case, you do not want average. You want exceptional. And here is the beautiful part. Best in the world does not mean best on planet Earth. It means best in the world that matters to your customer. If you are a wedding photographer in Austin, Texas, your world is Austin, Texas. If you are the best wedding photographer in Austin, you win. You do not need to compete with photographers in New York or Los Angeles or Tokyo. You just need to be the best in your specific world. To become the best in any world, you have to survive the dip. You have to push through the long, hard middle part where everyone else quits. Part 3, the 2 types of difficult situations. Now, here is where most people make a fatal mistake. They think all difficult situations are the same. They think persistence is always the answer. They believe if they just keep pushing, success will eventually come. This is wrong. And this wrong belief keeps millions of people stuck in situations they should have left years ago. Seth Godin identifies 2 very different types of difficult situations. The first is the dip. The second is the cul-de-sac. The dip is a temporary setback that can be overcome with persistent effort. You push through and you come out the other side better than before. The cul-de-sac is a dead end. No matter how hard you try, no matter how long you persist, you will never break through. You will just keep going in circles. Imagine you are driving to a destination. You hit traffic. This is the dip. If you wait it out, Eventually, the traffic clears and you reach your destination. But now imagine you took a wrong turn and ended up in a neighborhood with no exit. You keep driving around the same streets over and over. This is the cul-de-sac. No amount of driving will get you to your destination. You need to turn around and find a different route. The tragedy is that most people cannot tell the difference between these two situations. They quit the dips they should push through, and they persist in cul-de-sacs they should have abandoned years ago. Think about the employee who has been at the same company for 15 years, waiting for a promotion that will never come. Think about the entrepreneur who keeps throwing money into a business model that fundamentally does not work. Think about the musician who keeps playing in the same local bars, hoping to be discovered even though their genre of music died 20 years ago. These people are not lazy. These people are not lacking persistence. These people are persistent in the wrong direction. They are driving in circles in a cul-de-sac while telling themselves they are climbing through a dip. Part 4. The Strategic Quitter. Here is the secret that the top 0.01% understand. Quitting is not the opposite of success. Strategic quitting is a requirement for success. The most successful people in the world are not the people who never quit. They are the people who quit the right things at the right time. They quit the cul-de-sacs early so they can pour all their energy into the dips that matter. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are trying to learn 3 different skills at the same time. You're learning Spanish, you're learning piano, you're learning to code. All 3 are valuable skills. All 3 have a dip you will need to push through to achieve mastery. Now here's the problem. You only have a limited amount of time and energy. If you spread yourself across all 3 skills, you will hit the dip in all 3 at the same time. You will be mediocre at Spanish, you will be mediocre at piano, you will be mediocre at coding, and because you are mediocre, you will never experience the massive rewards that come from being the best. The top 0.01% make a different choice. They look at their options and they ask a hard question. Which of these dips am I willing and able to push through? Then they quit everything else. This feels painful. It feels like giving up. It feels like admitting defeat, but it is actually the opposite. Strategic quitting is not weakness. Strategic quitting is how you concentrate your power. Think about a magnifying glass. If you hold it up to the sun, nothing happens. The sunlight passes through and spreads out, but if you focus that same sunlight onto a single point, you can start a fire. Your energy is the sunlight. Your strategic choices about what to pursue and what to quit are the magnifying glass. Focus creates power. Part 5, the 3 questions. So how do you know if you are in a dip or a cul-de-sac? How do you know if you should push through or walk away? Seth Godin offers 3 questions that the top performers ask themselves. Question 1, am I panicking? Quitting in a moment of panic is almost always wrong. When you are tired and frustrated and scared, your brain will look for any excuse to escape the pain. This is not strategic quitting. This is reactive quitting. The top 0.01% never quit in the moment. They plan their quitting in advance. They decide before they start what conditions would cause them to walk away. Then, when the pain comes, they check their criteria instead of checking their emotions. Question 2, who am I trying to influence? Sometimes you are pushing against a wall that will never move. If you are trying to change a system or a person or a market that fundamentally does not want to change, you might be in a cul-de-sac. The dip only exists when there is something on the other side worth reaching. If there is nothing on the other side, you are not in a dip. You are in a dead end. Question 3, what sort of measurable progress am I making? This is critical. In a real dip, you should see some movement even if it is slow. You might be learning, you might be building relationships, you might be developing skills that will pay off later. But if you have been pushing for years and you cannot point to any concrete progress, you need to seriously consider that you might be in a cul-de-sac. Part 6, the courage to quit. Here's the part that nobody wants to hear. Strategic quitting requires courage, sometimes even more courage than persistence. Our society celebrates persistence. We tell stories about people who never gave up. We admire the athlete who kept training despite years of failure. We respect the entrepreneur who went bankrupt 3 times before finally succeeding. But we do not tell stories about the people who strategically quit one path to pursue another. We do not celebrate the lawyer who realized she was in a cul-de-sac and left to become a successful artist. We do not admire the entrepreneur who shut down a failing business to start one that actually worked. This creates a dangerous bias. You feel like quitting is shameful. You feel like walking away from something means you are weak. So you keep pushing on paths that lead nowhere because you are afraid of what people will think. Top 0.01% do not have this problem. They understand that their time on this planet is limited. They understand that every hour spent in a cul-de-sac is an hour stolen from a dip that could actually lead somewhere. They have the courage to look at their situation honestly and make the hard call. Part 7, the dip as your greatest asset. Let me tell you something that will change how you see struggle. The dip is not your enemy. The dip is your greatest competitive advantage. Every time you push through a difficult phase that makes others quit, you are eliminating competition. Every time you show up when others stay home, you are moving closer to the top. Every time you persist when persistence is hard, You are building the scarcity that makes your skills valuable. The top 0.01% do not just tolerate the dip, they seek it out. They look for fields where the dip is particularly brutal because they know most people will never make it through. They choose hard paths on purpose because hard paths have less traffic. If you want to be in the top 0.01%, you need to stop looking for easy. You need to start looking for dips that are worth crossing. Part 8, the decision framework. Let me give you a simple framework for applying everything we have discussed. First, identify what game you are playing. What is the specific goal you are trying to achieve? What does being the best in your world look like? You cannot push through a dip if you do not know what is on the other side. Second, honestly assess whether you are in a dip or a cul-de-sac. Look at the evidence. Talk to people who have made it through. Find out if the path you are on actually leads somewhere. This requires brutal honesty with yourself. Your ego will try to convince you that your cul-de-sac is really a dip. Do not let it. Third, if you are in a dip worth crossing, commit fully. Do not hedge. Do not spread yourself thin. Pour all your available energy into pushing through. Half measures do not work in the dip. You either commit completely or you do not make it. Fourth, if you are in a cul-de-sac, quit now. Do not wait. Do not spend another year hoping things will change. The best time to quit a dead end was years ago. The second best time is today. Part 9, the truth about the top. Here is the truth that most people never understand. The top 0.01% are not superhuman. They do not have abilities you lack. They do not have advantages you cannot access. What they have is clarity. They are clear about what they want. They are clear about which dips are worth crossing. They are clear about which paths are dead ends. And they have the courage to act on that clarity. You can have the same clarity. You can make the same strategic choices. You can learn to quit the right things and persist through the right challenges. The secret of the top 0.01% is not a secret at all. It is a choice. It is the choice to stop glorifying persistence for its own sake and start practicing strategic persistence. It is the choice to stop fearing quitting and start fearing wasted time. It is the choice to find your dip, commit to crossing it, and let go of everything else. The question is not whether you are capable of reaching the top. The question is whether you are willing to make the hard choices that getting there requires. What dip are you going to cross, and what cul-de-sacs are you finally going to leave behind? The answer to those two questions will determine whether you stay in the 99.99% or join the 0.01% at the top. The choice is yours. Part 10, starting today. Let me leave you with something practical, something you can do right now. Take a piece of paper. Write down every major commitment in your life. Your job, your side projects, your relationships, your goals, your hobbies, everything that takes your time and energy. Now look at each item and ask yourself one question. Is this a dip or a cul-de-sac? Be honest. Do not let your ego protect your bad decisions. Do not let fear of judgment keep you stuck in dead ends. Look at the evidence. Look at your progress. Look at where the path actually leads. For the dips worth crossing, write down what it will take to push through. What resources do you need? What skills must you develop? What sacrifices are required? Then decide if you are willing to commit fully. For the cul-de-sacs, make a plan to exit. It might take time. It might be complicated. But knowing that you are in a dead end is the first step to finding a path that actually leads somewhere. This exercise is not easy. It will force you to confront uncomfortable truths about how you have been spending your limited time on this planet. But this discomfort is the price of clarity. And clarity is what separates the top 0.01% from everyone else. Remember what Seth Godin teaches in The Dip. Winners quit all the time. They just quit the right stuff. They quit strategically and intentionally so they can commit everything to the challenges that actually matter. You do not become exceptional by doing many things adequately. You become exceptional by doing one thing extraordinarily well. And you cannot do one thing extraordinarily well unless you are willing to quit the other things that are diluting your focus. The path to the top is not complicated. Find your dip, commit to crossing it, quit everything else. That is the secret.